keeping a closer watch on our children and our neighbors' children is desirable. As parents, elders, teachers, religious leaders, relatives, our traditional roles remain relevant in nurturing, guiding, and mentoring our youth for healthy and sustainable living. Our lives in the communities and the environments we live cannot and will never be safe unless our youth are kept safe and away from drugs. The challenges may be Herculean, but with partnerships and collaboration, it is possible. I therefore call on parents, as the primary agent of socialization, to be more caring, sensitive, and vigilant to our children's activities. Close monitoring and mentoring by parents can help to detect early signs of abuse, hence possible remediation. My advice, therefore, is always to consult and seek for assistance when necessary, and not to live in denial. It takes a long time, expensive, if not frustrating, to cure a patient with drug addiction. Prevention is therefore better than cure. Excellencies, distinguished guests, let's join hands in reversing this ugly trend. Taking urgent steps to protect the youth and vulnerable people against drug abuse is eminent. At this juncture, I call upon NDLA and its partners to intensify more efforts and commitments in enforcing the laws and in reinvigorating the strategies in tackling drug abuse and illicit drug addiction. This is because the realities of time has changed, and we must keep on re-examining our strategies based on realities. The fight of drug abuse is for all of us. Everyone is a stakeholder. Therefore, I enjoin all to support NDLA in its war against drug abuse to eradicate the increasing threats of substance abuse in our nation. To our youth, please stay away from drugs and abuse of illicit drugs. I thank you all for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before the chairman of the MTN Foundation speaks to us, we would like to view this short video from MTN. Can we have the MTN video now?
It is possible, working together to get a drug-free nation. I call upon each of us to join the resistance movement. For we must have a resistant movement to resist this terrible scourge of drug abuse.
It is about providing hope, providing support, making arrangements for change, giving care and love to those who have found themselves in the beltway of drug abuse.
Let us renew our commitment to address
the drug issues.
MTN chose the anti-substance abuse program specifically because we recognize that the youth is the future of this nation and we need to protect them.
This is a 3-kilometer brighter life walk in Kano here.
Drug abuse is really a dangerous thing to our life, more especially to the life of our youth.
Codeine is an opioid analgesic. What it does is to get to the central nervous system to increase the threshold of pain.
Rohypnol is a depressant of the brain. It depresses all excitable tissues, and the brain cell is the one that is most vulnerable to the depressing activity of rohypnol.
Institutional approach and support is what has been largely missing on our part. We have to look at our laws. We must do it the right way.
Unplugged training is not a seminar, it's an interactive training.
It's a school-based prevention program to prevent drug abuse.
In this training, one thing I have learned is to remove any form of stigmatization, anything derogatory to the learning process.
I would like to officially welcome you to the MTN Foundation ASAP program quiz competition for the year 2022.
A state of emotionally or mentally needing a drug in order to function is called correct.
We believe through this process, we have recruited you as our ASAP ambassadors. You will show this in the home, in your schools, you take the message back to them. And we believe that you will join us, to build a drug-free Nigeria.
Thank you very much, MTN. So with our video now, we want to invite a man that continues to look absolutely elegant, even in his 80s. A lawyer, a pharmacist, former Minister of Health, a wonderful human resource expert. Please join me as I welcome here Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi. I welcome you, the chairman, MTN Foundation, everywhere you go.
Thank you, MC. It's such a pleasure for me and members of the board and management of the MTN Foundation to participate in today's program. I would like to, like others, congratulate our brother. They call you General, we call you Governor, Buba Marwa. You should be congratulated, you and your team, for making the best of the situation that you have met in the NDLEA. It appears to me that you have a favor from the Almighty that wherever you go, you tend to leave a mark behind. Today in Lagos, we still have Keke Marwa. It is my hope and prayer that you would, as you have started your work strongly, you would also end your tenure very strongly. You have proved to be a very creative, very imaginative, and proactive leader of persons. All I can say to you on behalf of the foundation is I like ye. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we feel happy that the foundation of the MTN has become an intimate part of the programs of the NDLEA. We feel that the task ahead is just beginning. And the NDLEA needs a lot of support. Because indeed, you'll find that in Nigeria today, very many people are crazy, but only few are walking the streets. In Nigeria today, very many people are on drugs, but few are manifesting it. Indeed, you'll find that there are very many children, young people, who are on drugs, but the parents don't even know. That's why the foundation of the MTN decided some 5 years ago to join the struggle to reduce addiction, drug abuse, substance abuse in this nation. And in the NDLEA, we have found a very good and cooperative partner. We want to assure you, General, that we will continue to walk that path with you, inshallah. We would help you to build your gravitas. That is your ability to become the center of gravity on this subject matter. Your ability to become the hub for information, for communication, for counseling on this subject matter. We will do everything also to improve your caritas, in the sense that your ability to care, especially at the stage of rehabilitation, would be strengthened. That's why I said to you that the journey that we are both setting on is not a 100-meter race. It's a long-distance race. So we will improve your gravitas and your caritas as a person and as an organization. You will recall that the MTN Foundation in 2019 had this work here, and we invited the NDLA and other organizations. It was very successful. But only this last Saturday, we did another one, an 8-kilometer advocacy walk. And this was last Saturday, from the old parade ground all the way to the Millennium Park. We want to be able to thank all of you who cooperated with us, the UNODC, the NYSC, the NDLEA itself, as well as all these officials from immigration, customs, prisons, FRSC, Nigeria Police, and some other government bodies. It was so successful that excerpts of it went viral. And that occasion was trending very heavily in the social media. And we're very happy that because of that, the target we have of the young people was reached, and we know that this will continue in the next year. We also, as a foundation, carried out the unplugged training for 90 secondary school teachers from nominated schools in Kano, in Oyo, and Rivers State, in collaboration with the UNODC. And these nominations were guided by that body. And it also helped them in the area of preparing their report on drug prevalence in Nigeria. Earlier today, you saw the Vice President giving some presents. It was the MTN Foundation that organized the virtual quiz competition among students from 12 secondary schools across 5 states and the FCT, including Gombe, Kano, Imo, Kwara, and Abuja, again in partnership with the NDLA. Now, we're very happy that these things have happened, and we are assuring you, General, that it's only beginning. You ain't seen nothing yet. And we say to you that as an organization, we would continue to support you in the area, especially of advocacy. You'll be surprised how many people are ignorant about drugs and the abuse of drugs. If you say to someone, say no to drugs, they should be asking you which drugs. And therefore, advocacy has become very important. And when you embark on that program, we would strategize with you, because by doing so, by making you a success story, we're helping the younger generation in this nation. And if we do it well, and Nigeria makes an inroad in this connection, it will be a green light for all other African countries, in fact, the black race. And that's why we are behind you. It was Keke Marwa in Lagos. It may be drug use safety in Nigeria. That should be a goal that we can all work towards. But all this will not happen by working alone. There's absolutely no ground to think that by working alone we can do it. The issue of drug abuse can date back all the way to the old days, say 4,000 years before the Christian era, when people were using opium. If you fast forward, you will find that sometimes in 1859, precisely on the 25th of June, there was an end to the dismantling of the very first trade on opium in China. Now, it was this that was being discussed, the commemoration of that dismantling being discussed in the General Assembly of the UN, that led and was escalated to the resolution that was passed on the 7th of December, 1987, to declare that 25th, 26th, 27th, the Day of Drug Abuse. So here we are in Nigeria, and we're doing everything to make sure that we have an impact. Some people would say Is it just about talk this year, talk next year? No, we must continue the talk until such a time that we will say to ourselves, we are making some progress. It is a war that must be continued, a luta continua. And as long as this is going on, you have our support. Congratulations.
He is elegance personified. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. At over 80, he's still bouncing. Chairman, MTN Foundation, former Minister of Health, lawyer, pharmacist, wonderful gentleman. What we'll do, one of Nigeria's finest singers, David Jones, David is in the house. We'll take him later, but let me invite David Folaranmi to give us a 2-minute talk. He is a rehabilitated drug user. David Folaranmi, please. Is he here? Okay, that's you. Please, let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. 2 minutes to tell your story. We welcome you.
His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, SAN, GCON, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please permit me to stand on all established protocol. I was born into a Christian family with very high moral values, and my parents did all they could to make sure that I grew up well, and I was able to avoid all of the social vices that most of the people in my age, or my age group, were experiencing. I went to missionary, primary, secondary, and university schools just so that I can avoid all of these social vices. However, I traveled to the UK for my master's, and I got involved with drug use. I got back to Nigeria. It became worse when I started using crack cocaine. I spent so much money, so much so that in the first few months, 6 or 7 months, I'd spent over 3 million naira on drug abuse and its attendant behaviors. I started living in the bunks. These are these drug houses where drugs are used indiscriminately. I began living there, and things just got from bad to worse for me, so much so that I overdosed 3 times, waking up in the hospital. In this period of using drugs, I lost 4 of my friends. That's to tell you how terrible the effects of drug use can be on people. However, I was able to fight the scourge of drug use. This happened when, after an attempted suicide, I got tired of using drugs. I couldn't fight the addiction anymore. I'd been into rehab and out. I'd almost lost my right leg in an incident that was drug-filled. And like I said, I attempted suicide. My mom rushed me to Federal Medical Center in Abuja. I was there for 3 days. And then when I recuperated, I began the journey to recovery. And then we started our foundation, where we've been helping others to avoid the mistakes that I've made. We've done several drug abuse programs reaching over 60,000 persons, and our center has been able to help. And our center has been able to help in the treatment of over 25 persons. This has been done with collaborations with other established centers. Our chairman, sir, my chairman, I would like to thank you for the work you are doing. This is the 3rd time I'm opportune to be in the same room with you. Needless to say, you have a very, very, very deceitful smile, quote and unquote, because every time we see you, you're always smiling very subtly. But I know that those who are at the other end of that smile are feeling the wrath of the law for trafficking in illicit substances. Part of what we do in our organization is we go back to the bunks where I lived for almost 3 years, that's these drug houses, and we try to reach out to the drug users there with drug abuse prevention and treatment options. And I would like to tell you that the heat of our current chairman is being felt out there in the bunks, and then the dealers are all running away into their holes. I want to thank you very much, sir, for your efforts to rid the country of drug abuse. But, sir, I would also like to ask kindly that you work closer with those of us who have been into this before, and then we have the passion to help others to come out of it. Some of us who have had the experiences, we know how better to talk to those who are still in it, and we believe that with collaboration from relevant agencies like the NDLEA and the UNODC, I just had a brief chat with Mr. Oliver Stolpe at the back of this hall. If we can work closely with the NDLEA and the UNODC, for those of us who have come out of it, it will help us to bring others out of it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to stand before all of you. God bless you.
We congratulate you for your strength, for your resilience, and for your fight. Thank you very much. Okay, so Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome here our guest lecturer for today, Dr. Martins Osanyode Agwoge. He's president of the ISSUP Nigeria. I understand there's a deal for just 10 minutes. Yeah? So a deal is a deal. I welcome you.
Thank you very much, MC, for that nice introduction. I know I have limited time here, but just to add quickly that I'm a product of the NDLEA. I'm always proud to add that to my introduction. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the already established protocol. That is not without saying a word of appreciation to the Chairman, Chief Executive of NDLEA, my Chairman, the management of NDLEA, and members of the Planning Committee for inviting me. As a product of the NDLEA and a secretary to this kind of event for many years, I have an inkling of what is expected from a guest speaker on a day like this, and part of which is to talk about drugs, who use drugs, how they are used, and so on. But when we speak so much about drugs and those who use drugs, we focus more attention on the victims instead of looking at the causative or risk factors for drug use. So today, in the wisdom of the UNODC and the NDLEA management, in selecting or choosing the theme and topic for today's discussion, we are going to be discussing something different. And in doing so, I will quickly be looking at addressing drug challenges in health and humanitarian crisis, settings in Nigeria that need care for comprehensive prevention interventions. Quickly, before I mention the different settings, I will have to skip my introductory part of the speech because of time. But that is not without putting on record that Nigeria is experiencing crisis in the area of drug and substance abuse. Why do I say so? That 1 out of 7 persons between the ages of 15 and 64 years in Nigeria use drugs. To me, that is crisis. That 1 out of 4 persons who use drugs in Nigeria is a woman. To me, that is crisis. Especially considering the role of women in child nurturing and upbringing. I tell participants in my prevention training, also based on science, that drug use prevention starts when the child is in the womb. I repeat, drug use prevention starts when the child is in the womb. So you can imagine the kind of nurturing and upbringing for the child from the womb to adolescence if the mother is abusing drugs. Recently, we conducted a survey in one of the states in Nigeria to find out why are women abusing drugs. And part of the findings is neglect and abandonment by husbands. They reported that they are frustrated in their marriage. The question is, it is not about women abusing drugs. It is why are women abusing drugs? So we need to look at those risk factors for drug use. Another area of concern, that there will be 40% increase in the prevalence of drug use in Africa, including Nigeria, by 2030, is a threat to the nation that must be averted. From investigation, Nigeria has the highest level of ingenuity in substance use in the whole world, with the use of complex mixture and unimaginable substances, which has become a major challenge in the area of treatment. So these complex mixtures are generally referred to as new psychoactive substances or legal highs. Therefore, the major challenge in the future of drug control in Nigeria will be more on the NPS and other non-conventional substances. Consequently, as important as law enforcement strategies may be, it must be complemented by evidence-based prevention strategies through identification and addressing risk factors for drug use among the young population, and particularly those in crisis. This is because where the conventional drugs are not available or easily accessible, those who are in crisis will resort to the new psychoactive substances or legal highs as alternatives. Regrettably, some of these substances are household items, readily available and easily accessible. So quickly, I don't have the time to go into details, but I will highlight some of these settings that are experiencing crisis that need urgent attention. Number one is the family setting. Recent statistics shows that married couples in Nigeria are increasingly drifting apart. For example, there was an increase of 14% cumulative spousal separation in Nigeria in 2018. That is an indication of a setting in crisis that needs urgent attention. So much has been said about the importance and the role of parents in addressing substance issues. So what we see in most cases is that even where it is not a case of separation or divorce, is that parents are shaking in their responsibilities. Absentee parenting, need to make ends meet, and so on, to the extent that a good number of parents don't have understanding of their growing child. There's limited bonding in the family. So crisis in the family and inadequate parenting are risk factors for substance use. So better parenting, promoting family bonding through appropriate parenting skills and monitoring will go a long way in addressing almost half of the challenges of drug abuse in Nigeria. Another area that needs urgent attention is the area of insecurity. There are close to 10 million people in need of humanitarian aid in Nigeria due to insecurity in different parts of the country. About 80% of the victims of humanitarian crisis are women and children. This is a major risk factor for drug use. I will quickly take the early childhood education and the education setting. there are about 11 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. This is a risk factor for drug or substance use. Studies show that more than 50% of the out-of-school children and adolescents use drugs. On the school setting, education, especially those in the school setting now, students now spend more time at home than in school. And those who are even qualified to be in higher institutions of learning are not there because of limited space. As crises in the education setting have effect on the economic and social development, so it is a risk factor for drug use. Economy and youth unemployment. Economic recession not only have financial and employment consequences for individuals, but also mental health consequences. Loss of job and the unexpected consequences to families make children vulnerable. More than 23 million Nigerian youth are idle, jobless, and frustrated. All of these are risk factors for drug use. Recent WHO reports shows that 1 in 4 Nigerians have mental health illness or mental illness, mostly depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety disorder. Regrettably, only 10% of those who need help gets it. The implication of this is self-help, including the use of controlled medications and other substances to address mental health conditions. So one may want to ask, are these crises or challenges enough reasons for people to abuse drugs and endanger their lives? The answer is yes. One may also want to ask, do these drugs help to relieve pain, agonies, and frustrations? I will say the answer is yes, even though temporary. And are these justifications enough, or are these justified drug abuse? The answer is capital no. But we also know that the long-term consequences of drugs outweighs the short-term benefits. But again, nature abhors vacuum. When people are in crisis and there are no helps, they become vulnerable to negative suggestions that may come from wrong sources, including drug vendors. We have seen the evidence of the impact of COVID-19 on drug use. Studies conducted in different parts of the world shows that there was an increase in drug use during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the earlier we begin to tie the drug crisis to these elements or risk factors, the better in our prevention interventions and averting the danger of having 20 million drug users in Nigeria. So the earlier we begin to tie these risk factors to the crisis of drug use and abuse in Nigeria, the better to avert having 20 million drug users in Nigeria. So we must go beyond the usual slogans. They are fine, but we need to look at these risk factors. So the task of preventing substance use and attending to the needs of those in crisis may look overwhelming. But if we truly love this country, the future of our country, and committed to drug use prevention, which of course I know we are, we must pay particular attention to the different settings that are experiencing crisis and provide the appropriate care. Among my recommendations, therefore, there is the need to strengthen awareness and commitment related to the risk of substance use among victims of humanitarian crisis. As a matter of deliberate government policy, incorporate substance use prevention and treatment in humanitarian crisis interventions in Nigeria. Support families, schools, communities, traditional institutions, and faith-based settings, which are the closest unit to the young ones to be able to identify crises within the society that serves as risk factors for drug use to safeguard the future from the scourge of drug abuse. And because of time, I will conclude with this. Whenever we care for people in crisis, we are helping to prevent drug use and abuse. But when we fail to care for those in crisis, we are contributing to the risk of drug use. So care for all, particularly those in crisis. Thank you.
The man is a very good man. He did 10.5 minutes. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you. And I hope the singer will do just 2-3 minutes maximum. He is one of the finest singers in Nigeria's music industry. He's also an actor. When it wasn't fashionable to sing about drug abuse, he already started it. Such songs as Hello Doctor, Onyara, Giant Killer were wonderful songs that made this guy a national phenomenon. For 2 or 3 minutes, please join me as I welcome on stage David Jones David.
Even though I know to go gaga, city fool, Onyara. Even though it no do you, it don't do somebody where you know. Even though you feel say you no be drug addict, it affects you one way or the other. The song I want to do now is titled Even Though. Thank you very much.
Even though, even though, even though, even though, even though it not to me, even to my body, even though it not by me, it don't buy somebody, even though you never, even though you want to, I really no bother, they go on to you, even though you didn't know, now you know, drug abuse is bad, even though it don't do me, even do my body, even though you know by me, you don't buy somebody, even though you never, even though you want to, but I ain't no bother, big old wound to you, even though you didn't know, now you know, drug abuse is bad. Don't do them lie, don't do them no lie, don't do my part, I will sing them loud, even though you know be a drug addict, do your part to make highness for no carry them, even though you never, even though you want to, but I really no bother, they go on to you, even though you didn't know, now you know, drug abuse is bad, even though it don't do me, even do my body, even though it not by me, it don't buy somebody, even though you never, even though you want to, I ain't no bother, big old wound to you, even though you didn't know, now you know, drug abuse is bad. Even your friend says it's cool, don't fall for it, don't fall for it, even the country hard, don't fall for it, drug abuse is bad, even though you never, even though you want to, but I really no bother, they go on to you, abuse him bad, oh. Even though he don't do me, even do my body, even though he don't find me, he don't find somebody, even though you never, even though you want to, but I ain't no bother. Big old wound to you, even though you didn't know, now you know. Drug abuse is bad, oh. Even though you didn't know, now you know. Drug abuse is bad, oh.
Thank you, NDLEA.
David Jones, David.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, NDLEA. Thank you, MTN Foundation, for the ASAP initiative. Thanks, everyone, for joining the fight. God bless you.
I'm a fan. Well done. Well done. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing it to a close. Thank you for your patience. Let me welcome Mr. Shadrach Haruna for a short goodwill vote of thanks.
Your Excellency, First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented here this afternoon, the Chairman, Chief Executive of NDLA, General Buba Marwa, OFR. I want to sincerely apologize for those ones who are here before I start my vote of thanks. Those who are supposed to give us some presentations here this afternoon, the National Troupe, the Abuja Drama Group, University of Abuja Drama Group, and NDLA Drama. So we're so sorry that we couldn't take all these ones, but keep your cast. Very soon we'll have another opportunity for you to appear. Thank you so much. So permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for over 3 hours we've been here and we've had an exciting and wonderful time that is enriching and thought-provoking. Now it is time for me to express gratitude to all the people who made today's celebration of the World Drug Day possible. My name is Shadrach Haruna, Agency Secretary, and it is my honor and privilege to give a vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate our host, the chief host, though the representative has gone, the Attorney General of the Federation, for his support, because he will not be here today without his generosity and support. So we thank him so much for at least sending a representative to us, and we appreciate the effort and the support he has given us so far. Permit me also to thank His Excellency, the Vice President, who was here and gave us a very thought-provoking presentation as well. Professor Yemi Shibanjo, SAN, GCON. He's present here today really made our day for us because it shows a significant political will as well as support for the efforts and control of illicit substances in the country. Of course, Her Excellency, the wife of the Vice President, Dr. Aisha Buhari, for being here. At least the representative has been here all through with us. Thank you so much, madam, for being very patient with us and for giving us a very thought-provoking presentation. We love you and we thank you so much for your attendance and for your support. My sincere appreciation also to the representative of the House of Reps, Chairman on Narcotics. We thank you so much for being here with us all through. Patiently waited for the whole thing. Thank you for tarrying with us. We appreciate your presence here as well. And of course, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court has been here from morning with us. I think he's still around somewhere. We thank you so much for your collaboration and for your support to this particular occasion. And we thank you for being here with us throughout the whole period. Your presence did add gravitas to this gathering. I want to especially thank UNODC country rep, Oliver Stope, who has always been there for us. He's given us all the technical support we need to do what we're doing in NDLA. And indeed, we thank him so much for his effort and for the logistic support and cooperation, as well as EU, who has also funded most of our program. We really want to express our gratitude to EU delegations in Nigeria. We also want to sincerely thank the chairman of MTN Foundation and MTN as a whole for the support they have given us. We want to thank Prince Julius Adelui, the chairman of MTN Foundation, for your immense support and contribution to this year's World Drug Day. Indeed, you have always been with us, and we'll continue to collaborate with you. And we saw what MTN did on Saturday by painting the whole of Abuja yellow, and we want to see that we continue with this collaboration. This is exactly what we're looking for. We need people to come in and fight this war with us. NDLA cannot do it alone. Our royal fathers, though they have left, but they have been a very good support to our wider program. We want to thank them as well, because without them, we cannot reach the grassroots. And they have been a very good agent and soldiers for us at the grassroots level. We want to thank them very well as well. I also must mention with deep appreciation to our guest speaker, Dr. Matthias Osayade Agoge, who has given us a very valuable exposition on the use of substance abuse. Indeed, we need your paper because that paper is thought-provoking and it's enriching as well. Thank you so much. And on behalf of NDLA, I'm expressing our gratitude and appreciation to members of the Federal Executive Council present here, members of the Senate, members of the Interministerial Committee on Drug Control, members of the boards of NDLA who have been here with us from the beginning to the end, our sister agencies, the Special Purpose Committee. We want to thank you all. Indeed, we also want to recognize and acknowledge the presence of the Chief of Naval Staff and other officers of the service that have been here with us. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for being here with us, and thank you for collaborating with us in the fight against drug abuse. We also sincerely want to thank the students and our other sister agencies that have been here, particularly the awardees and those students and National Youth Service members who have also been here with us since morning. We thank you for your patience, and we thank you for being a very good agent of war against drug abuse in the country. Once again, we are most grateful to everyone. We want to thank you for being with us today. It has been a great pleasure, and I want to sincerely pray for you that as you go back to your respective destination, God Almighty will take you there safely. And thank you all, and thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Secretary of the Commission, we thank you. We appreciate you. So at this point, I will invite the chairman of NDLA and members of the high table and every other person. He will lead us